Greetings, math fans. All right, so today what we're going to do is we're actually going to combine all the types of factoring. And truly what you're going to do first, so this is all types of factoring. So truly what we're going to do here first is we're going to always look for GCF first. Okay, that's kind of the key. You're going to do greatest common factor first. What's going to happen is you're going to factor something out of it, out of the terms. Okay, and then you're going to have something left over. So you're going to have this left over. So then you're going to do, this is either going to be sum or difference of cubes, difference of squares, trinomials, which means use the X method, slide and divide, or you can't factor that last part. So you're just going to do a greatest common factor. That's it. Now it's pretty easy to recognize whether you can factor any more, and sometimes you get like a crazy problem. So I'll kind of start out with a crazy problem where you can only do a greatest common factor, and you'll recognize it pretty easily. If you see a problem like this after you factor it, x squared plus 5x, plus 6. That you should say, well, I can try to factor that, and you probably will be able to factor it. Okay, but if you see something like x squared y to the fifth minus 2xy squared plus 3x, something like that, well, not a 3x, but just a 3, okay, and you took your greatest common factor out, you can't do anything more with that. I'm not going to give anything crazy where you have to try to factor something crazy like that. Just a greatest common factor for a problem like that, but certainly not anything more than that, okay? So let's actually start with some good problems here. Okay, so I just want to clear this off here. So if they gave you 15x to the fourth y cubed minus 20x cubed y squared plus 30 x squared y. Now, if you look at that problem, you definitely have to do greatest common factor. But do you think after you have to try it first, but do you think I'm really going to give you something to factor after that? Like it's a trinomial? I know it's 3 terms, but first of all, what's the greatest common factor here? Well, do you guys agree? I have 15, I have 20, and I have 30. So definitely 5. So here, I'll write on the side here, GCF equals 5. And then, look, what are the x's? Well, here's x to the fourth, here's x to the third, here's x squared. So you got an x squared. And then here's a y cubed, a y squared, and a y, so y. So that's your greatest common factor, okay? So you divide each of these by 5, x squared y. Okay, and we get, don't forget to put that in front of there. Okay, this is a common mistake. Kids, they factor that out, but they forget to actually write it underneath. Got to do that. It's part of the problem. Okay, so now if I divide that out, I get 3x squared y squared, and then that's minus 4xy, and then this one is plus 30. Okay, and guess what? Oh, it's plus 30. What am I doing? Plus 6. Sorry. I was going to say, and that's your answer, but that wasn't your answer because I made a mistake. Okay, plus 6. And then you're done. It's really pretty easy, guys. Okay, so obviously if I distribute that back out again, I should get the top line. Okay, so if you look at it, do you think I can do anything with that? No. Okay, you're kind of done. All right, does that make sense, guys? One thing I wanted to mention also with greatest common factor, which kids have kind of forgotten from the previous chapter, is let's just say, let me give you a quick example here. So let's say your problem was 10x squared y to the fifth minus 30x y to the 10th plus 5xy. Okay, so you should say your greatest common factor is 5xy. So this is the deal. You divide each of these by 5xy. And I get 5xy on the outside. Now on the inside, do you guys agree I get 2xy to the fourth? Right? 2x1y to the fourth. And that's minus 6. The x's cancel and you get y to the ninth. Now this is what the problem is. And I've seen this, and that's why I want to bring this up again. Guys, this cancels, but it's not 0. It's like, say, what's 5 over 5? It's 1. So that's really plus 1. So please don't cancel it out. Guys, if you have 3 terms in your original problem, you're going to have 3 terms in your answer. Okay, that's important. Okay, so let's do a couple examples here now. If I gave you 12x cubed minus 2x squared minus 24x, and I ask you to factor it. The first thing you do is, again, you're going to do greatest common factor always, always, always. So my greatest common factor for this problem is 2x. So you're going to divide each of these by 2x. Okay, so I would right away put a 2x down here and then divide. So that's going to be 6x squared minus x minus 12 when you divide all that out. Now the deal is that looks like it could be factored. That's why you need to try that. So that's going to be, we're using the x method, negative 72. And that's going to be negative 1. So what numbers multiplied to give you 72? Negative 72. So one's positive, one's negative. But then when they subtract, they give you negative 1. Well, if you think 8 and 9, right, and it's 8 and negative 9, because 8 times negative 9 is negative 72. 8 minus 9 is negative 1. Okay, so we get, don't forget the 2x. I'm going to keep writing that out there because you don't want to forget that it's part of the problem. Right, I factored that out, that sticks with it. So it's 2x, and then it's x minus 8, or sorry, x plus 8, and x minus 9. Don't forget, you got that we did the x method, but now you got to divide everything by 6. Divide that by 6. Divide that by 6. So it's 2x. Please make sure, again, you should know how to reduce that in your calculator with the fraction button. So it's x plus 4/3. And that's x minus 3/2. Okay, and then you slide it over. So 2x, and that's 3x plus 4, and 2x minus 3. Okay, and that's the answer to that problem. So you got to have everything in here, guys. Right? You got to keep that 2x in there, and then you have to factor the rest of it, and you're done with the problem. Okay? All right, so let's try another one here. Just a little crazier. 20x cubed minus 14x squared minus 24x. Okay, so definitely you can take out an x. So the GCF is x. And what goes into 20, 14, and 24? Well, you can always do 2. They're all even numbers. And I don't really see anything else, actually. I think it's just 2. So the GCF is actually 2x. So I'm going to divide each of these by 2x. And don't forget, that goes in front. So 2x, and then if I divide that, I get 10x squared minus 7x minus 12. Okay, if I would have had, if these would all be even numbers, then I could have probably taken out another 2, so maybe a 4 total. Once again, it's a nice trinomial. I'm going to go and see if I can factor this. So 10 times negative 12 is negative 120. So put that as an x, and this is negative 7. Now this looks a little scary of what to do. So again, you can try a couple different things here. But if I just think quickly, what is it? Isn't 10 times 12? Yeah, okay, so 10 times, well, let me write a couple things here. Remember, you can go through the whole deal. Maybe we should even do that just to practice. I can do 2 and 60. So I'm going to actually grab my calculator and I'm going to type in these values as we're going along here. Maybe you can too. So I'm going to pause this. We'll get my calculator. Okay, I'm back. So I'm going to actually, that 120, I'm going to say 120, and I already did it. 120 divided by 2, okay, 60. So let's do 120 divided by 3. Okay, that's good. So 3 and 40. And 120 divided by 4. That's 4 and 30. 120 divided by 5 is 24. Oops, so let's just put 5 here, sorry. It's going to be 5 and 24. 120 divided by, and I don't see any combination yet to give me 7, right? If I subtract, so 120 divided by 6 is, so 6 and 20. That still doesn't work. 120 divided by 7 doesn't work. Okay, it gives you a decimal. So 120 divided by 8. Okay, so it's 8 and 15. Oh, there it is. Because 8 minus, or if you say 15 minus 8 is 7, but so you make this one negative, negative 15 and 8. Okay, so that's the way you got to go through the process here, guys, to get that x. Okay, so this is going to be 8 and negative 15 that we're going to use here. So it's going to be x plus 8 and x minus 15. And don't forget the 2x in front. Okay, now remember this is, don't forget the step, you're dividing by 10. Right, this is the slide and divide. So you get 2x, and that's going to be x, if I reduce that, x plus 4/5 and x minus 3/2. So I slide that baby. I got 2x, and so 5x plus 4 and 2x minus 3. And that, math fans, is your answer. Kind of complicated looking, right? It is a little nasty, but you just got to go through the process. I mean, you got to practice it, write it on your note sheet, whatever you need to do, but know how to do this for the quiz and test. Okay, so that's why I did 2 trinomials. Let's do a couple of like the perfect difference of 2 squares and whatnot. So if I had 2x cubed minus 50x. Okay, so what's your greatest common factor? Always check that. Definitely a 2 and definitely an x. So I think 2x is probably it. All right, so divide everything by 2x. So you got 2x, and left over, that gives me just x squared, and that gives me minus 25. Perfect. That's the difference of 2 squares. So you guys should recognize that. X plus 5, x minus 5. And you're done with the problem. Okay? It's not bad. How about this one? 3x to the 4th minus 24x. So definitely 3 and an x, right? Greatest common factor equals 3x. That sounds reasonable. So 3x, 3x. And remember, you're still keeping the 3x on the outside. So we get x cubed minus 8. Difference of 2 cubes. So that's just going to be an x here, and that's going to be a 2. So 3x, and again, make sure you put your parentheses. We're going to use SOAP. So same sign, opposite sign, always positive. That's what my signs are. And then remember, the first spots, you put x and 2. You just write them in there. The first spot, you say x squared. The last spot, you say 2 squared. And the middle one, you multiply them together, so 2x. And guys, this is it. That's your answer. Okay? So, that really isn't that bad. Okay, just, again, always check for greatest common factor first, and then just do your normal factoring. Okay? So that's it, math fans. Have an outstanding day. Adios. Goodbye.